All right, hello and welcome to the Paramedic Recognition Ceremony for Cohort 4224-01. We're thrilled to collaborate with Team Health to expand our luncheon and include this special celebration. So as we begin, first let's express our gratitude to Team Health for their continued support and for making this recognition possible. Dr. Dabbs hanging out up front. We've enjoyed a close partnership with Team Health for just shy of 4 decades. So they're the ones that make this happen. So sir, thank you on behalf. And since we've been able to do this, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our special guests that are in attendance, from our city and county officials and our service directors. These individuals that are up here on the front row have accomplished great feats this year, and to have each of you here to help us recognize that's truly special. Thank you all for coming as well. Now, before we shift our focus to the true stars of today, the remarkable candidates we're here to celebrate, I want to take the moment to recognize 2 groups of individuals whose contributions are essential to the success of this program. The first group is the Roane State EMS Program Advisory Board. This board comprises a diverse and dedicated group of stakeholders, including employers, hospital officials, students, graduates, physicians, community members, and college representatives. Their engagement goes far beyond the program's basic requirements, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to excellence. I know we have a couple of our advisory board members. If you would, please stand and let us recognize you all for your work. We have our chairman, Jonathan Rogers, and our Tanoga Turkey Creek representative, Lucas Flowers, and service director from Morgan County, Doug Lamance. Thank you all for what you do. Those of you all that know me, I like to go off script, especially when it comes to that group of individuals. We have a dedicated group. They're only required to meet once a year. And maybe it's because of what we get to feed them. I think that's what Jonathan's there for. They do 2 to 3 times every year come together, but they're a phenomenal group. They've been recognized in our audits and our accreditation. And the second group is a group that I'd like to acknowledge, and they're the unsung heroes of our college. These are the individuals who work tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure everything is running smoothly. Some of them you interact with regularly, while others operate quietly in the background. In a moment, you'll hear from our president, who will undoubtedly echo this sentiment. Roane State thrives because of the incredible efforts of our support staff and our administrative assistants. These individuals ensure we stay on track, meet our timelines, and have the resources necessary. So I want to specifically start off by thanking Tammy Robinette, Michael Birch, and Sherry Risden, who work in our division staff and support us from Harriman, and additionally Jennifer Provine and Christina Beeson, who work on our Knoxville campus. They are countless heroes, but just a small few of those across the campus. And so for each one of those, that allows our faculty members to do what they do. So they're not here today, but we are recording, so we wanted to make sure and give them a moment of appreciation. Now it comes time that, now that part is done, now comes the time to actually recognize those that sit in front of us. In the military community, individuals come together to form a collective identity, often represented by a cohort number. This number becomes more than just an identifier. It transforms into a mantra, a source of pride, and an enduring symbol of unity and purpose. It serves as a reminder that the group has achieved something far greater than any individual effort. As someone who sat in their very seats, I can attest to the profound connection that forms within a cohort. It becomes a source of lifelong camaraderie and family. Even today, I remain in contact, including somebody that is here in the room with us today. I remain in contact with many of our classmates, many of them who have spread across the state, yet our bond remains as strong as ever. The candidates before you began their journey together in January 2024, forming Class 4224-01. This designation is more than a number. It represents the shared experiences, challenges, and triumphs that have united them as a family in EMS. This bond will remain throughout their careers and for many throughout their lives. Over the past years, the paramedic candidates before you have dedicated themselves to an intensive and demanding program, completing over 1,250 hours of lectures, lab sessions, and field work. They had successfully tackled more than 20 rigorous exams, countless quizzes, clinical rotations across multiple hospitals, and 3 semesters of immersive field experience, all while continuing to serve their communities with dedication and commitment. Now they just stand days away from eligibility to take the State of Tennessee practical examination and the National Registry written exam, the final steps towards earning the esteemed State of Tennessee paramedic license. Their hard work, perseverance, and determination are truly commendable. Congratulations to each of you on reaching this significant milestone. And thank you for choosing Roane State as your partner in achieving this. It is with great pride that we now take the opportunity to celebrate each of you. And to begin with, I'd like to introduce who you know very well and welcome Mr. Tom Herron, your faculty member.
So let me start by saying thank you. Every year I look at today as the transition point. This year obviously has an extra transition to it. Today, you're no longer my students. You are my peers. You've accomplished the same things and additional to what I accomplished a lot of years ago to become a paramedic. You've met every challenge along the way. You are sitting where you are because you have shown that you know and have what it takes to do this job and do it well, to do it better than average, to strive for the excellence that we've talked about all year long. It has been a challenging year on multiple fronts for all of us, and we fought through it together. It has impressed me, just like every other class. There's the little back and forth, the days where you hate a classmate, hate me, which is fine. The days where everybody hates somebody else. That's all part of the evolution of the class coming together, growing, and becoming what you can be. You all have excelled at it. You have found a way through everything that's been thrown at you, from starting the very start of the semester with a snow day to, hey, Tom, you didn't tell us about this test or this quiz, or even on Friday when a misunderstanding happened and I was telling one student that even though they passed AMLS, they have to retake the test after the final. And it sent panics through a bunch of you to find out that it was just Toshi getting Toshized. So, but you've really impressed me with the way you've worked. You've worked hard, you haven't quit, you've come together when you've needed to, you've kicked each other in the butt when you've needed to. And that is something that is going to serve you well as you move forward in your careers. You're ready. I believe in you. I trust you. I trust you to come take care of me. That goes for every single one of you. So, welcome to the profession. Welcome, my peers.
Two things I want to say to that. He made mention about the start of the semester, starting with the snow day. That's coordinated by our Chief Academic Officer, Diane Ward. Anytime she starts the semester talking about, she likes to bring up white stuff, and soon after that comes. The second part of that is I'm going to go ahead and dispel a little concern for you guys to have. And evidently shared with my boss, the dean, who's getting ready to come up here next, and while she starts this way, yes, your testing is on Friday the 13th. That is not bad for this program. This will be the 3rd or 4th. I've got to confirm. I think it's the 4th time that we've done Friday the 13th since I've took this job, and all of them have passed. So please don't do anything.
It's my second one, and the last one was no retest.
Yeah, exactly. So just go in and do it. So next, I'm going to welcome up Dr. Patricia Jenkins, the Dean of Health Science, to say a few words.
David, I'm not hardly that tall. I'm a little.
You can take
I'm
it off.
vertically challenged. I'm not short. I'm just vertically challenged.
We do planning very well here, so
All
there you
right.
go. Have fun.
Okay. All right, so let's talk. For you in the black uniforms on the front row, let's talk. You have spent the past year studying for what? What are you achieving? Paramedic, okay? Paramedics are part of what part of healthcare? Pre-hospital, and what happens in pre-hospital? Particularly, when do you show up? In an emergency, right? What do we know about emergencies?
They're unpredictable.
They're unpredictable. Are they planned? They're unplanned. Okay, if I have an emergency, typically when you're called, someone calls 911, right? You get in your truck. Is it a good day or a bad day for the person you're going to go see? It's a bad day, right? It's going to be maybe one of the worst days they've ever had in their life. And you're going to be showing up. So, you spent the past year developing your toolkit. What is it you're going to bring with you when you show up to that person who's having a really, really bad day? What are you bringing with you? Huh?
A smile on our face.
A smile on your face, knowledge, skills, right? Your ability to communicate with me. Because on my really bad day, am I necessarily going to be a nice person on my really bad day? I might yell at you, right? Because I might be hurting really, really bad. I might have just fallen out of a tree, broken something. So you're going to bring your knowledge, your ability to communicate with me, your skills, all that stuff in that truck, you know, that you can get me or my loved ones or whoever that person is safely to the next level of care, right? You're going to do what I need to do. You have spent the past year with that. And it is incredible the role that you play in healthcare. Because you're the first person on the scene on that really, really bad day. I don't remember my first ride in the truck. But it was not a good day that I had to get in the back of the truck. And I don't remember the day. Still don't remember the day. But I had qualified people putting me in the back of the truck, getting me to the next level of care. Congratulations, and I have given Mr. Blevins a hard time about your exam, you know, being Friday the 13th, but he keeps telling me it is a really good day for you, so congratulations.
So the one thing about it, if anything does go wrong, we can just blame it on the fact that it's Friday the 13th. You know? So it's one of those things in emergency services we always have plan A, plan B. There's a couple more in the mix than that. So this is our first time getting the opportunity to do this, but I'm going to welcome up Director Jonathan Rogers, who serves as the chairman of the Roane State Advisory Board, to also say a few words today.
I got it. I think I got it.
Okay.
I want to say from the advisory board, thank you. I was sitting in your seat 21 years ago as a new grad for paramedic. It's hard, but you are ready to be a provider as a paramedic. This is an elite program that Roane State has a history of putting together with the help of a lot of people in this room. So I welcome you to be etched in the forever files, archives of Roane State Community College for completing the paramedic. Never stop learning. There's always something new out there, for you to achieve, whether it be going on for nursing, whether it be going on to the community paramedicine, whatever your heart gets tugged at to do. But medicine is always changing, it's always evolving. You know, I can remember when I got out of school, you know, you roll up into the ER, you got someone intubated, you got an XJ going, you're saving their life, and, you know, it's cool because back then, you know, nurses had to ask a doctor to give an aspirin. So, you know, but you get to do all that because you're in the pre-hospital setting, you're the first medical contact to treat care, and a lot of the care that you give at the beginning of that first patient contact is how their outcome is going to be. Regardless if you ever get feedback, what you do really is going to matter to that patient. And I can say that about the nurses because I'm married to an ICU nurse. And some of you know her, and if I end up having to sleep on the couch through the holiday, I'll know where it came from. But I do sincerely want to recognize every single one of you. This is a hard task between time away from your family, time away from you know, your work, having to work for free, because there's nothing worse than working an EMS job and then, you know, sleeping out of your car and going to class and then doing clinicals and getting free, having to do free EMS work. It's like you can't, you know, get away from it. And I'm telling the families, it'll pay off. It'll pay off. They'll be better people. They'll be better individuals. So again, thank you all, and good luck to you. And I'll see you on Friday the 13th. I'll be there.
Those of you all that said great when he said he was going to be there, the good part about it is if you do work for him, and if you just so happen to be the one that tells his wife what he said today, then he does not get to evaluate you that day. Just to prepare that a little bit. So, but you know, Jonathan made mention. You know, we've all mentioned we've been in the same position. The fact that I remember getting off a plane crash that Knoxville had, a small single wing plane, 50 foot up in the trees. Get off at 7:30, come in and said, "Hey, can I take about 30 minutes to sleep in my car before I take the quiz?" And Marty promptly said no, and I took the quiz and then took a nap on my first break. So we have all kind of been there before. I'm going to welcome the next individual, and before we go any further, I've got this written down here, but it's what I can say about him, but really this next individual is a close personal friend of mine. He's been tied to this program for many years. I really think now he is taken to, you know, mentoring my daughter more than me, because they communicate more than I do, it seems like, until she made the decision to change from medicine to law. But this individual has got a strong foundation in East Tennessee. Has a strong tie to the EMS community. If you ever get a chance and have about 30 minutes, ask him about intubating or needing to intubate a patient leaving a UT football game, and they recognized who it was. But there's times in your life you get to meet individuals that have such an impact on the community. There is almost there is very close to not a state that is not touched by this individual across the United States. In his role, he spends most of his time with physicians, but dealing in the emergency side, and he has come to the realization that it is our EMS providers that are making those huge differences. And even after a long and distinguished career as one of the founding members of what is now known as Team Health, he's actually returned to give back to the community and serving as the medical director of AMR Knox. And I don't know how many conversations I've had with him as he gets back into the community and like who is involved here, who is involved here. In fact, I think it was our last Region 2 meeting, Dr. Dowds were standing over there going through with UT at the time and talking about patient care reports. Like he's getting down to how you all have to document stuff and where that data comes from. So what I have written down here, we have a close and personal friend, co-founder of Team Health, president of practice development for Team Health, as well as physician Medical Director for Knox County, Dr. Randall Dabbs.
Ask for a raise, obviously, for all that stuff, but see if I can say a couple words. It is an honor to be a part of Roane State. Let's see if I can do this. And it's certainly an honor to be asked to kind of speak before the group, especially the family who supported you guys. So I've got 4 or 5 things, just try to share with you, and these are things that I have learned throughout a long career working with paramedics and medics. Again, early on, as I was a young emergency physician at the University Hospital, I was the medical director there, and some of my best friends were paramedics who were running the streets, and I would ask them, hey, I'm getting off work about 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. Would you come over and let me get in the truck with you and ride with you? And so from about 8:30 till about 1 o'clock, I would just ride and learn, about all the challenges that you guys have faced and will face, in the coming years. And so I gained a deep, deep respect and appreciation for what medics have to do and how they have to deal with it. And I would say you're not too unlike an emergency physician, because we have to encounter the same sort of things, the chaos, people who don't always appreciate you, when you come up on the scene, when they're in my ER, they're not saying, oh, thank God, Dr. Dabbs, that you're here, going to save my life, etc. That's not always that way. So there are challenges that you guys have already faced, because I understand all of you have been on the street. So if you're on the street for a week or two, you know the challenges that you're going to be. But now you're at the top of your game. You're going to know stuff and do stuff, and you're going to be the lead on that truck. And instead of saying, what do I do now? What do you want me to do now? Now you'll be telling other people what to do. So I've got just 5 things. See if you can remember these. The first is just treat everyone like they're a family member. Now sometimes that may not be very good, but so I'm going to challenge you is that you're going to see people who are going to be in a very, as she said, going to be in a very difficult situation. They're not always going to be nice. They're not always going to be appreciative of you. So I'm going to ask that you work really, really hard to think, if this were my daughter, if this were my brother, if this were my sister, if this were my parent, if this were a child, how should I approach and treat them? That's the only way that you can get through sometimes not being treated very well by them. Because I learned a long time ago, as an ER doctor, I'm coming in there, I'm coming to take care of you in your worst moment, as you mentioned, but people do not appreciate that at the time. They're not always going to fall down and thank you for that. You're never going to get the recognition and the appreciation for what you bring to the table every time you go out there. So that leads into my second thing, is that just refrain from judging. I don't think I need this. Just refrain from judging people of how they got to where they are. We're pretty blessed. I mean, we may have had some pretty good parents. I'm not sure. Personally, me, I blame every good thing that ever happened to me on my 2 parents. They were just awesome. So that's what got me here. So for whatever reason, you guys have been blessed that way. But be careful, because people who are going to be on drugs, you don't know how they got there. You don't know how they got to be in such a tough situation. You just don't know. I just ask that you pray hard not to judge that person, how they got there. Your job is not to judge. And I'm telling you, it'll take every ounce of godliness in your body not to judge these people, because it's our nature, and we have to really overcome that. That's a great thing. Third thing is just you're a little different now. be and act professional. You're not just somebody out there. You are a professional. You're now in a different situation. You were when you became an EMT, but much more now. And so how you behave reflects on all the rest of us who are in some sort of emergency medical care, whether you're a nurse or physician or paramedic or whatever. So that's not going to be easy, because there are going to be things that are said and all that you have to step back and say, you know, I'm not going to engage in that. I'm a professional. I have to act as a professional. The fourth thing is just be a good teammate, because you're going to be riding with people and they're going to look at you, and they're going to do things that they are looking to you to be complimentary of them. So I'm an ER doc. I'm in the, you know, you bring me a patient. You know, my first thought is, man, I need to thank you for the great work that you did on getting the patient to me. You need to thank your coworker on that patient and thank them after you saved the life, after you made this diagnosis, after you got to patient. Man, you did a great job. I appreciate you. Great work. You have to look for it, because the things we do every day in EMS is unbelievable what you guys are going to be allowed to do. You know, you sticking needles and knives and, you know, doing incredible stuff. We just take that for granted after a while. You know, we take for granted that you know all this stuff. You know, there's no way you're going to be paid commensurate to your value, you know, in this world. You're going to be so much greater than that. So just recognize great work. And then the last thing I would have to say, again, which is not going to be easy, is just to know your purpose. Know your purpose. And your purpose is taking care of people. You know, you could have been, you know, you guys have got such talent, you guys and girls. And when I say guys, it's a kind of a collection. You guys have such talent that you could have been almost anything. You know, the skill that you have to be able to communicate and do all this stuff, and then in the midst of chaos is incredible. It's incredible. But know your purpose. Every time you come up on the scene, you're somebody's angel. You're an angel. You're an angel. I mean, you smile and say, yeah. I'm telling you, nobody is more welcome to almost every scene than a medic coming to take care of me. That is just you're somebody's angel, and you can take that seriously, or you can just just medic, just do that. You're somebody's angel, and you can be special to that person. But you have to think about that. The way you put your hand on the next patient that you see will determine whether you're that angel or not, is how you touch and talk to that next person. Not easy, you know, but just things that I have learned that I try to pass along, because those are the hard things that I have learned. And I've made a lot of mistakes. I wish somebody had told me when I was, 27 years old, a new ER doctor, that all this was going to take place. It's not an easy thing to remember in the midst of what you're going to be in, and what you've already been in. You know what you're going to be into. It's not like this is the first time that you've been out on the street. So it's an honor for me to be even barely associated with this, and I appreciate David and everybody else asking me to come and kind of share the message. So thank you, David.
So anybody that's been around Dr. Dabbs knows that when he comes out with his notebook, it's going to be prolific. We're going to remain on topic, because there's a couple of those rabbit holes he's actually done his own extemporaneous speech about while in here. The first one, talking about those on drugs. He's got a great example to talk about. So we always want to make sure and treat everybody with respect. I will say cautious, you're only gonna be using the scalpel every so often, so just because, and your response to that doesn't need to be because Dr. Dabbs told me I could do it, unless you're Knox County, then I guess he does tell you that you do that. So, one more special guest before we get to our guest speaker for the day, and I would like to invite President Chris Whaley to the floor. Chris Whaley is the president of Roane State Community College and has actually came along since I've been here. He started as my vice president of student learning before becoming president. And whether it's the food or not, he always makes sure and finds his way here. He could have the busiest day possible, but he's here. But he wants to recognize each one of you as well.
That's right. Thank you, President. Appreciate you. I tell you, it's really intimidating to be between these two incredible speakers and two men that not only are gifted communicators, but also truly are legends in the medical field. They might shake their heads, but I know that to be true. I appreciate and respect both of Dr. Dabbs and Mr. Robert Byrd. I want to say, not only for Dr. Dabbs that, and you all would not have any way to know this, but it's not only the paramedic program that they have year after year after year after year supported, but Roane State Health Sciences in general in really strong and generous ways. And so, Dr. Dabbs, to you and your team, I could not be more grateful for your generosity and your leadership and your passion for what these wonderful folks do. I want to thank the faculty and staff in this program. They are beyond excellent. You all are the proof of that, and I think they are not all here. David has recognized our staff members who could not be here, but I think they deserve one more round of applause. These faculty members in particular, Tom and David and so many others. I want to thank Dr. Pat Jenkins. You all may know this, but you may not. Health sciences are the wheelhouse of Roane State, certainly not mine. I'm a liberal arts guy. It takes all of us, right? But we have, I guess, now some 20-odd programs in health science, and they are all first rate. They are all at the very top of their game because we have excellent program directors, excellent faculty members, and we have an incredible dean who leads all of them. And Pat, I appreciate all that you do. I also want to recognize and especially thank all of you, all of these graduates here. Number one, as David said, thank you for choosing Roane State Community College. That is no small thing, and we are very, very grateful that you chose to be a part of our program. Number two, thank you for choosing to work really hard, really, 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 really hard some days, in addition to all the other things that you have going on in your lives to be here today. You have more than earned this, more than earned this. And thank you, as Dr. Dabbs said, as Dr. Jenkins says, David has said, thank you for the difference that you are going to make in the lives of so many. I can remember my first experience was many years ago as a kindergartner, and Mom and I were in a wreck, and I won't go into that whole story, but I will tell you that the wonderful folks who got off that truck and not only took care of me, but knew how to talk to me and comfort me in the midst of what was going on was really, really important, and that has stuck with me. I always look for quotes, and I really like this one. It's a quote within a quote. So the first quote is attributed, and the second one that it's in is not. You'll understand that, I think, in just a moment. The attributed quote is from John Wayne, and it says, "Courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway." And then the larger quote that's not attributed says that paramedics have difficult and dangerous jobs, and they know the risks, and yet every day they prepare for the challenge, they load up their gear, and they race out to the next emergency. And this is the courage that makes them real heroes. You join those ranks, and we're awfully proud of you. Congratulations.
And now we get to talk to somebody, or I say talk, he's going to talk to us for a few minutes. It is my distinct honor to introduce our special guest speaker, a highly respected professional who's made an indelible impact on the EMS field over the course of an extraordinary 45 years and 1 day. And really, I put down a testament to making sure no detail was overlooked. He just wanted to make sure whoever was doing the retirement paperwork didn't discredit him for that last year. So he worked 1 additional days. He's served in diverse roles, including a ground paramedic, flight paramedic, director, educator, leader, and advocate at the local, state, and federal levels. Beyond his impressive professional achievements, he's also a close personal friend of mine and a mentor who embodies the principles of servant leadership. And I actually did him a disservice. If it was up to him, we would be having tacos. So our code anytime we need mentoring session, either way, is time for tacos. But hopefully the pork loin and chicken served well for you this time. Throughout his remarkable career, he has never lost sight of the core mission, serving those in need with compassion, dedicating, and unwavering commitment. It is my privilege to welcome a true leader, colleague, and friend, Mr. Robert Byrd.
And the tacos were delicious. Thank you. It's an honor to be with you. Dr. Whaley, thank you for those kind remarks. I'm just a simple old boy from Morgan County that had a good work ethic and had a pretty good journey. Congratulations, guys. This is awesome. I've lived what you're about to live, and it is an awesome journey. And there's so much I could say to you. I'm really going to try to be brief. There's some of my people. I usually use the word kids. When you hear me use the word kids, it is with the utmost respect, because when I say my kids, it's mine. You're under my umbrella of protection. I'm passionate about what you're doing. And I see some of my kids in the room, Ricky and Nathan, and I appreciate you guys going on the journey with me. It was a blast. 45 years in 1 day, and it went by like that. It was incredible. It never slowed down. This is real important, what I'm about to share for you all and the family members. How does a paramedic go 45 years in 1 day? Don't forget that. I'll do an extra day. How does a paramedic go 45 years and not burn out? How do you do that? As a chief, when I was a chief, I watched burnout. I was able to help some staff walk through that burnout. I couldn't help some staff. That was difficult. But as years went by, and I reflect on my journal. I started journaling on October 5th, 1998. I can tell you the very first meeting I had with Nathan Sweet, what he said, and every meeting I had with him thereafter. I got it down, brother. You're there. You're in it, Ricky, a lot. Journal. It helps you reflect on things. And as I reflect in my journal, I ask myself, how did I go 45 years with this passion, with this excitement, with this love? Because EMS is my first love. Fell in love with it when I was 12 years old. How did I go there? How did I get there? How do I stay and not burn out? It's really important for you paramedics. It was my support system. And let's be adults and be transparent. My support system changed over the years, as life would have it with many people. But my support didn't change. My focus didn't change. I stayed after it, and I worked hard. And I really do. I sincerely mean that I was a poorly educated country boy, but it was phenomenal what I learned on a farm and what I was able to apply out here in EMS. And it all started blending together. When I was 12 years old, I asked my daddy, I said, why is that pig? It was a boar. His name was Freddie. He had a name. He weighed 425 pounds. He was a Yorkshire, white, real long. His name was Freddie. And I asked my dad, I said, why is that pig so much bigger than the others? Well, in part, he's a boar, but there's also something about this that applied to my career and how a simple boy from Morgan County goes from ambulance driver to vice president. That pig was always first to the trough. First to the trough gets the most. I was first to work. I wasn't the smartest. I was last to leave. I wasn't the most successful,
but boy, did I work hard. And I never quit. And I had a support system that I could go home to and vent, so I didn't experience trauma. And that's what's really important to me, because I already know, every one of you, you're ready. You're ready for the intubations, you're ready for the needles. They took my needles and scalpel and knife and everything away from me, give me a desk. I probably wasn't very good at it, but in all seriousness, I know you're ready. You're ready for all of that. You absolutely are. Next step is getting your support system in place. You probably already started on it because you're EMTs. Make sure you got that support system. Make sure that you're talking and communicating. Don't keep it inside. That's how you go 45 years and still love it as much today as I loved it when I was jumping out of helicopters. Gosh, it was a fun journey. It was so much excitement. And yes, there was death in my hands a few times. You know, that's part of it. So, but what's really important is, what if you paramedics sitting here on the front row, what if you're the one person that gives the next person another chance at life? Most profound compliment and event I've ever gone through in my EMS career happened in a patient's room at the University of Tennessee when I was a flight paramedic on Lifestar. So long ago, HIPAA didn't exist, and we did patient follow-ups on every patient we flew, and some of the old timers might remember, we sent letters out saying this is what's wrong, this is what we found. It made for good medicine because we became a team, and we could see mistakes, and we could make improvements, and we could pat each other on the back. But I'll never forget going in that room for the follow-up, and the whole family was in there, Dr. Dabbs, the whole family. And I stepped back out, I was in a flight suit, and I stepped back out, and the movement got their attention, and they turned and they said, come in. And I come in the room, and the patient was laying in the bed, and introduced myself to all the family, and that patient says to me in front of, I don't know, maybe 12 people in a hospital room. It's pretty crowded. And that patient says to me, thank you. You saved my life. Now, I'm not here to preach to you. I'm just here to tell you a story. That patient said to me, if I'd have died, I'd have gone to hell. That patient believed that. The patient believed it. Whether anybody else does or not, it's irrelevant. The patient believed it. If I'd died, I'd have gone to hell. You gave me another chance. Guys, all I was the tool. Southern accent, T-O-O-L. I was the tool that helped save a life. When I was a young paramedic, I used to say, I saved lives. Some can remember kind of an arrogant Robert Byrd. I'm 10 foot tall, bulletproof. I can intubate anything, including fractured larynx and half. And I was arrogant. And as time went on, I started growing up and I realized I'm just a tool. Once I accepted I was the tool, I was able to excel, and I was given positions I wasn't qualified for. All because I took on the attitude, I am a simple tool. That tool kept getting better and better, and people started recruiting me. And the next thing I know, I'm in positions that I really don't require, or don't qualify for, but I always surrounded myself with champions, and some of you are in this room. Thank you. It's very important that you develop that attitude. You're a tool, you have a support system, and trust me, I am a living testimony. You can become and do anything you want. Truly can. Simple country boy. Became vice president of the largest emergency system in the world, not just the United States, the world. Not qualified, but I had an incredible staff of brilliant people, and I turned them loose. And I loved my job. I love it as much today as I did 45 years ago. You know, can't hardly do it anymore. Last point, Carl Steiner, the only 4-star general I've ever personally known, one of the greatest generals in the history of America, lived in La Follette, Tennessee. Didn't die that long ago at 85 years old. After my jumping out of helicopters and ambulances, and I became a healthcare and transportation lobbyist, spent a lot of time in 40 state houses. I've met with 40 governors. I've been in the state houses many times over a course of 15 years. I'm in Nashville more than any. This fellow, Carl Steiner, a general I know, he's coming in. And I'm there for a committee meeting, and he gets up and he speaks to the same committee, different topic, but same committee. And General Steiner says, I was on my tractor in the field, and Deputy Sheriff pulled in and said, the governor wants you in Nashville in the morning, 8 a.m. So the general went to Nashville, and he's telling that story. I'm sharing that with you for this reason. I retired 6 months ago. I love it. Gosh, I love retirement. But I love EMS too, and here's the proof that you never quit loving it. When David called me and said, can you come and speak? I was like, yes. Yeah, it's like being dispatched. You know how excited you get, 1033 gunshot wound. I gotta go, baby. I'm hollering at my wife. I gotta go. I gotta go to Knoxville. They want me to speak to the paramedic graduates. It's my honor. It's truly my honor today. And I love you guys already. You're my kids. If I can ever do anything for you, please don't hesitate to ask. And just remember, it's not about qualifications always, because the creator of the universe, he doesn't choose the qualified. He qualifies his choices. Thank you. Congratulations.
So I forgot to tell you all, make sure and take some notes when that goes through, but a couple things I'm going to share real quick. You mentioned 1033 gunshot wounds, and the one thing you got to know and saw, not all the time are 1033s gunshot wounds. I learned that really early in my career. I was in one area and they called it 1099. It got everybody out there. Why is a bomb threat? Somebody called in a bomb threat, so everybody came. When I came down here to Knoxville, I heard on the radio, police department, hey, I need a 1099. I was like, oh, here we go. Knoxville's getting ready to get a 1099. It's like, why is nobody getting spun up? It's in our territory. We're not hearing anything about it. It's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, 1099 bomb threat. He goes, no, 1099 is a bathroom break. That's the first lesson. And I'm going to mention one other thing about Robert. So when I first met Robert in time, I did not meet him 45 years and 1 day ago. I didn't even meet him 45 years and no days ago. It was a little bit less than that. I was a paramedic student going to ride along with one of his crews. We had a student that was a little bit less. He was talking about his arrogant faith. I'm going to point him out here. You can call him out. So, one of our paramedics who was a little bit behind was trying to do 4 days straight of clinical rotations. And Robert had a little invitation to ask the individual to leave and never come back to the service. He did subsequently later on go back. That's one of those points. But I do want to share. He talks about journaling. And I'm not even going to ask for permission, but this works for each one of you. It kind of goes. So in the mornings, we'll get up and I'll get a message from Robert. It may be a sentence long. It may put the likes to Stephen King, but they all have an excellent message. And I really want you all to listen to what he says here. You can either be the thermometer that measures and shares, teaches the temperature, or you can be the thermostat that changes the temperature. If you are a light, you are not needed in sunshine. You are expected. Your presence required, even commanded in the darkness. So the next time you get down and aggravated frustrated about your circumstances or the people around you, ask, why have I been placed here? There's many times where we're going out, not sure what we're actually dealing with, but the patient that we're serving is more confused than we are and certainly more scared. So be the light in the darkness, change the temperature in their environment, and make an absolute difference to each and every one of them.
I'm not even going to walk back over to the podium, but listening to Dr. Dabbs, listening to Mr. Berg, a couple things that I didn't cover that I normally do. Number one, we've talked about it, they brought it up. Protect your mental health. Do not fall victim to the things I fell victim to. You are never alone. You always have somebody that you can reach out to. Number two is please take this with you. And on the inside of the front cover is what's known as the Oath of Geneva. And please let it guide you in your careers. Take it to heart. Make the pledge to yourself that you are going to be that healthcare professional. And then Robert really hit a chord with me, so I'm going to read you something that I wrote several years ago as I was going through some things. And I just want you to keep it in mind. I've often wondered if we choose our careers or do they choose us? Is it a job or a calling? Who would take a job knowing this is what they might see? And if it is a calling, what is within me that is so special that the caller thinks I can handle this? Who willingly goes into the storm knowing that they could forever be affected when they come out the other side? I love my career. I'm blessed that it's heading towards the end of it. And I'm praying for everybody who has answered their calling in these times of such craziness. They will be forever affected, and so may you too be ever blessed.
And now I'm going to ask President Whaley, Dr. Dabbs, Mr. Byrd, and Tom Herron to line up here. To my left, your all's right. We're going to take the opportunity to recognize each one of you on your accomplishment. When you hear your name, come up. President Whaley is going to hand you the coveted first paramedic badge that y'all will receive. Yep. Zachary Harwood. Tammy Beck. Kason Brockman. Joseph Fahidi. Because she hates when I call her all the names, I'm not. Lexi Fritz. I said her full name one day, and boy, that changed. Tasha Guerrero. Abigail Hurst. Matthew Mansari. Kayla Lewis. D.L. Martin. Chrissy Merritt. Sean McGlone. I have to say that I'm glad that the hat is off today, Evan. I don't know that I've ever seen him without. Evan Romero. Sorry, I had to take that one. They're EMT, Advanced EMT Paramedic. That hat has stayed on. Ryan Smith. I can't even say it. Sparky. Michael Sparks. And Philip Thomas.
Hey,
You forgot me, dog.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't. This next individual, the last one to come up, was on the truck when I was out there for a while, and we talked a lot about being here, and I'm super excited to actually see you out here, Mr. Michael Atkins. I'll shake everybody else's hand in just a minute. That one was mine just for a moment of privilege. I'm going to get President Whaley and Mr. Byrd and Tom to hang out and take a seat for us real quick, but I'm going to ask Dr. Dabbs to remain up here with me for one last. There's a whole lot of stuff here that I'm going to read first, but this next individual is going to find his way on these plaques in the next week, and you notice in the classroom the photos that are in the wall up front. It's the Paramedic of the Year. This partnership with Team Health goes way back. In fact, It goes back to one of our paramedics actually helping save one of the founding members in an accident that occurred, and tied the programs together. So that wall outside in the hallway, it's got all the pictures, still have about 15 left to get of certain individuals. But all of that will be going on over to our new campus as well, but it recognizes the Team Health Paramedic of the Year. It's Roane State Paramedic of the Year, but it's sponsored by Team Health. And Dr. Dabbs is personally tied to each one of these, which is one of the reasons why I like to make sure that he is up here. So we're going to put out the program's most distinguished honor, the Roane State Paramedic of the Year. This tradition is made possible through our longstanding partnership with Team Health. It recognizes an individual selected by their peer for their exemplary qualities. The recipient is chosen for outstanding leadership in the classroom, mastery of the curriculum, and overall professionalism and character. Although I'm going to say with these last two that may be a little bit loose this time, just to let you know. This year's honoree will join an elite group of past recipients who have gone on to achieve remarkable success in their career. Among them are individuals who have become EMS service directors, state emergency response or hospital emergency response coordinators, fire chiefs, physician's assistants, and even had one who has been placed on an NFL roster. Anybody else does that? That's pretty cool, but I think it's a really select, and unfortunately his career was rather short. But it's my privilege to announce the 2024 Paramedic of the Year. One defining trait of the Paramedic of the Year is determination, a quality that sets them apart. While that direction of determination can sometimes spark spirited what-if scenarios, such as the nature of paramedic class, this year's recipient has exhibited a steadfast determination from day one, striving to absorb as much knowledge as possible to develop a deep and comprehensive understanding of the profession. Along the way, he found camaraderie and a balance in his classmate, and they become affectionately known as Larry to his Chuck. Beyond his dedication to mastering the material, this year's honoree exemplified balance and perseverance. He juggled the demanding requirements of paramedic school while prioritizing his responsibility as a husband and father. Throughout it all, his curiosity never wavered. His sense of humor remained bright, and his willingness to support his classmates stood out as a hallmark of his character. He consistently set a high standard for himself, his peers, and the EMS profession. A testament to his commitment to the field, he additionally serves on the Tennessee Office of EMS Young Guns Task Force, helping to shape the future of EMS in our state. Please join me in congratulating this year's Paramedic of the Year, Mr. Kason Brockman.
Don't have to.
I'll just say I didn't necessarily prepare a speech, and I am very thankful and grateful that you all have selected me. But I just want to say that even though I'm the one standing up here, I am no greater than the whole, and my motivation is you all. I want, for whenever I'm looked at, I want people to know that it's not just me, but we're all the same way. We're professional, we care, we love what we do, we always strive for better things. Yeah, that's it.
We haven't done yet. Well, thank you, Dr. Dabbs. All right, so before we excuse ourselves for the day, you always want to make sure that you give the photographers instructions, all right? So I understand the family and colleagues want to take hold of our paramedic student graduates, or soon-to-be graduates, as they're not quite finished. We have to make it through Thanksgiving first. But we're going to take some photos of you, so please make sure to take your patches. We're going to take a photo over in the other side. Jason, because you're holding that plaque, you've got a couple of additional ones to take as well, just hang out. All right, so everybody can commingle just for a couple minutes, and then we'll make our way over next door.
Okay, very quickly, before we break, don't forget what Dr. Dabbs said about being professional at all times, but don't forget about being true to yourself forever. So, be true to yourself. Be professional, but be true to yourself.
I did not ask when you wanted to present it. That's and as our first one that was video recorded, it's saved in posterity forever, my friend. Let's just say that. So now, for everybody that's sitting behind the first row, I ask each and every one of you to help me recognize Class 4224-01, the paramedic class of 2024. Go forth and do great things. Congratulations.